The last time we met, I was but just a hunter, but now I'm a Master Rank 100 hunter who still plays like a noob. Welcome back to another Invasion Sensation Journal where I chronicle all my invasion sensations throughout Monster Hunter World, also known as It's Just My Journey of Playing Monster. Actually, we're in the Fatalis arc, so this is a little journal series focusing on my grind to take out Fatalis. As you may have noticed, the grind has been a little bit slower than Alatreon because there's a little bit more preparation required, so I have not gone full tilt on Fatalis yet. We're still kind of poking around and figuring out what's going on. So these past 2 weeks, I haven't really given Fatalis too much attention. I hope he's not getting too jealous. But I went back. So the last time that we connected, I had unlocked phase 2. And now I went back and of course, Aiden was no longer there. So now I have to deal with Fatalis, who has his full attention on me, which was actually a little harder. And actually I was wondering if I could even get to phase 2 again. So thanks to some of your tips, I have also learned about the famous Gilly Mantle cannon trick, which I got to test out and try, which opens up the fight with about 4,000 damage on Fatalis. So fantastic tips. That's a great way. I'm glad I was able to pull it off. So we're going to keep doing that. So I've got my opener. I managed to wallbang Fatalis, which was something I did not think I could do. So after playing around a bit with him, I wallbanged him. Took a lot of deaths. Divine Blessing carried me through again. And when it went to phase 2, I kind of relaxed instead of, I did one of these instead of doing one of these, because I forgot that now that there's no cutscene to tell me to go in the cave, I'm supposed to book it there myself. So I knew what was coming. I was like, and I kind of panicked. I was like, oh, what do I do? And there was a rock, and I was like, maybe I'll hide behind the rock. Nope, I got toasted. So I unlocked phase 2, but I didn't make it to phase 2 because that was my 5th and final cart. And back home I went. So that was still great learning. I learned a bunch of new things. I zero-sum discharged his head a few more times. But the fact that now I have to know to run to the cave, and the fact that I can wallbang him and I can open up with cannons, those are 3 very important lessons that I needed to have in order to eventually defeat him. So Fatalis is back on the back burner, but off we went to hunt some monsters, unlock Master Rank 100, and start souping up some augments, because I still don't have like health regen and all that on my axe, so we needed to do a little bit of sprucing up. So first thing was Master Rank Lunastra. Went back to visit her. This was interesting because I was using the switch axe that I was using on my ice switch axe, which actually does have a health augment on it. And the Lunastra fight was fairly comfortable as far as Lunastra fights go. I discovered about the whole pressure, it's wing pressure, which just kills your health. And at one point it was kind of a dumb move, but I latched onto her head and I started zero-sum discharging while she was doing the pressure. And I was just seeing my health go like this, and I was like, please don't stop going and it was basically a fight, and I blew off of her, and there was not much health left, but I did survive. So that was a really close encounter. But she died with what I say relative ease. There might be a card or two that the editor puts in to show you guys that I'm not like this amazing hunter. Fine, you can have it. I also did it all with Divine Blessing. I know there's going to be a bunch of cheeky jokes about the fact that I used Divine Blessing. We're going to address that at the end of this video. Then I was still trying to grind up to Master Rank 100, so I went and did We Three Kings foolishly. Underprepared, because I did We Three Kings, the event quest, many times in multiplayer. That is the quest where you fight a Kirin, a Kushala, and a Teostra in an arena. And in my mind, I'm like, this is an easy quest, because I always did it with 3 other people. Of course it was easy. This time I went in solo. I did not prepare my loadout or weapons. So I ended up going, Kirin was slapping me like crazy because I didn't have my thunder resist like I usually do against a Kirin. So that took me a few carts. Then Kushala came out, and I had an ice axe to go against it, which was not effective. And I understand the hate for Kushala now. There were tornadoes all the time. I couldn't grapple it because it has this tornado shield on it. So I used to say how I loved Kushala. I love the design. I like the high rank fight. Not a fan of the Master Rank fight. This thing's pretty garbage. And then Teostra was finally a comfortable fight where I just had more experience fighting Teostra, and I had an ice axe, so everything kind of just came together for that last piece. Finally, ding, we hit Master Rank 100, and I unlocked Ruiner Nergigante, where finally we could settle this like couple-month-old grudge. I hadn't fought a Nergigante in quite a while, pretty much since I finished the story of Iceborne. He was surprisingly comfortable to fight. Like, he felt slower than all the other times I fought him, and that is probably the Alatreon effect. I am also just way more, like, I legit felt myself graduate as a Switch Axe user after Alatreon. Like, I had to learn how to use my axe in a way I never did before. So all the monsters have a certain new level of comfort. And Nergigante was, I think I got a few cards again, and he was still intimidating because he was massive and just so spiky. But he went down. Like, it was a good fight. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't Alatreon. From there, I was challenged to go do a Tempered Furious Rajang, which I dreaded. No monkeys. I hate the monkeys, no matter what form. But this was like the final form. We did Rajang. We did Furious Rajang. And people are like, you got to do Tempered Furious Rajang. And I was like, screw all of you. So I went in. And I was actually really good at dodging the monkey. Cue all the edits of me getting grabbed by the monkey and dying, because I know the editor is a monkey fan. Okay. Out of all the Rajang fights, I felt like I actually was the best at dodging in this one. The problem was I had a lot of troubles creating openings for attacks. The only thing I could really rely on was when he was not in rage, latching onto his face, putting some rocks in his mouth, sending him to the wall, and then getting a bunch of hits while he was on the ground. That was my biggest opening. I couldn't really swing too much else in there. I went in with Divine Blessing, and people were pretty much betting against me. There was a few that believed in me. It came really close. I was down to my final cart, and Rajang was not tired, and somehow I pulled a win out of it. And by somehow, I mean through Divine Blessing. But I don't care, because that fight is hard. Divine Blessing is a legit skill. I used it. We killed the monkey. Divine Blessing kicks in randomly, so it's a fair win in my books. I'm never fighting that thing solo ever again, because he is dead, and he has fulfilled my pledge. Well, part of my pledge. So with Tempered Furious Rajang out of the way, we went for Tempered Nanuel, which was my third final monster to fight in my pledge. And this one made me sweat a lot. So again, I had only fought Nanuel once before. Tempered, she or he or it, whatever, felt really like slimy. Like there's really a lot of gross sound effects in this fight. And it was a comfortable fight, except for its dive bombs, which I had troubles predicting. And honestly, that's what killed me every time. When it would drop and just shock everything. I know how to avoid it. I know to Superman dive, but I did not feel comfortable in the visual cue. And oftentimes it would happen if I was like mid-attack, which taught me that I had to not be as aggressive with my attacks. And like after it does that and it loses all of its electricity, I'm like, okay, now it's time to go to town on it. But when it was like all zappy zap zap, I was a little bit more like off of it, waiting, getting a few hits in, but really waiting for that dive bomb so I could Superman dive and not get wiped. That took me to my final cart, and what was even scarier, as I was within the 5-minute left timer, I was, oh my god, that map. The first time I fought Nanuel, there was only a few minutes left. The Tempered one was the same thing. I finished, I think, with 3 minutes something or 4 minutes something left. Oh man, was I scared. Because now I had to like ratchet up the speed, ratchet up the damage without getting hit by one of those dive bombs, which would have wiped me and ended the quest and lost 30 minutes of my life. That was really an intense fight. I am so happy I won and didn't have to redo it. After that, I went and poked at Tempered Velcana because I was very curious to see what is the big deal with Tempered Velcana and if I should really do Tempered Velcana before Fatalis. At this point, there are only 2 monsters remaining, and my pledge that I made all the way back in March will be complete. So, Tempered Velcana, again, I forget how this fight is, but I was reminded of how much it pushes you away from it. Lots of AoEs, lots of like massive ice attacks that it's really hard to get anywhere close to it to even do damage. Again, I went in with the Divine Blessing armor, level 5 Divine Blessing, which saved me a lot. But when that didn't kick in, it was pretty much one hit KO with what I had. So it's definitely a hard fight. I feel you have to Superman dive a lot to get closer to it. Like you have to leverage iframes to actually get in there. It's not a comfortable fight right now. I don't know if I should really just get the Fatalis armor and then go for Arc-Tempered Velcana, or just like persevere and try to fight Arc-Tempered Velcana before Fatalis. Either way, these are the two that are left, so they're going to give me a hard time. Of course, I died to that. So people are now saying I'm relying too much on Divine Blessing, and some people are getting a little salty that I'm like triggering Divine Blessing too much. I'm like, oh, you should have died. You should have done this. To those people, I say, to make my Fatalis pledge, well, it's not even a pledge, but to make my Fatalis fight more interesting for all of you, I have decided that my win will not count. I will take on Fatalis without level 5 Divine Blessing, which means I am not using the Golden Rathian armor, so that nobody can take my Fatalis win away from me. So now we're grinding out the Raging Brachydios set. I've decided to go with a full 5-piece Raging Brachydios set. I've got 3 pieces so far through some grinding. The full set will give me Agitator level 7, Weakness Exploit level 3, and as well will just make me look really cool. I haven't really figured out what the decoration loadout's going to be, but thanks to chat, they helped me with some grinding. Thank God, to do some augments, because they just give you question marks. There's no way I would have known which of the like 100 monsters I would have needed to fight in Guiding Lands to get my augment pieces. Luckily with multiplayer, people are like, you need to go fight Tempered Nanuel. Let's go. Let's do it together. 20 minutes later, I had the pieces I need. If I was not streaming this and I did not have a community to help me, just the fact of getting these augments could have easily added another 10 to 20 hours of game time just for me to figure it out. That's assuming I wouldn't have looked it up online. So thank you, community, for helping me get to where I wanted to go a little bit faster. And not to mention, you also need to level up your Guiding Lands to get the monster that you don't know you need, to get the part that you don't know who it belongs to. So, whew, that end game, grindy. So the last thing is I actually did succeed in fully upgrading my Alatreon Switch Axe. It has health regen augment on it. It has a defense plus and an affinity plus. So my weapon is locked and loaded. I just need to hunt Raging Brachydios. I need a few more pieces to get the head and the feet, the greaves, and then a few more decorations, and I have no excuses after that. It's just going to be Fatalis until I push through and make it, because I have no more monsters to hunt other than a Velcana, and I have really just some more defense I could unlock from my Raging Brachydios set. So I do need, that's a good point, I do need to farm out 4 more of these like pieces that help you unlock the defense cap of the Raging Brachydios sets. And then I have to grind out some money so I can pay for all those upgrades. And then I will have no more excuses. It'll just be like Alatreon, where I go in 4 hours a week, put in the work, and plow through this Fatalis and get there. So that's what's coming up next for the next few weeks. We're just kind of adding that final polish on the armor, and I'm going to go hard on these 2 monsters and get this pledge done before the year's over, so that we can do, I don't even know what we're going to do after this, but that's not here or now. That is later. Right now we have a big black dragon to fight. And I hope you will catch me on the next stream or on the next journal, and I'll see you then. Otherwise, keep it classy.